So I swear I had this all set up before the JJ news came out, but I am going to dedicate this one to JJ McCarthy, who is out for the season with a torn meniscus. So this one, we're going to go through injuries in the league, injuries that happened in preseason and training camp, and those that are coming back from injuries from last year. We're going to talk about the level of concern for the player and the team. Let's go through first. Hollywood Brown, dislocated collarbone, out 4 to 6 weeks. Injury concern level for him and then the team by missing him.
It's high for both. He's a frail player. That's number one. You're missing the most important part of the year to acclimate to a new offense. And for the team, they're desperate for a number one wideout. Rashee Rice has a murky future going on. They have a rookie in Xavier Worthy who weighs 5 pounds. They need weapons. My concern, what are we doing, 1 to 10, or what do you want?
Let's do 1 to 5.
1 to 5? 4.
For Hollywood, I think that 5 being that it's really
a concern.
I would say 5 for him because he needs to be there. He needs to get acclimated to the team. As far as the team goes, I would say a 2. This team won a Super Bowl last year. Name their wide receivers. Exactly. So you added Xavier Worthy. I think they'll find a way. You still have Kelsey, so I'm going to put it a 2 for the Chiefs.
Let's go down the road to Allen Park. Talk about Jahmyr Gibbs' hamstring injury. Now, Dan Campbell did speak today, and he believes that if it was a week 1 matchup this weekend, he would be available. So your level of concern.
I'm a 1. I think it's all precautionary. I think they're insulated. They have another back. They have a great offensive line. They could pick somebody off the street, and they'd be okay. So I'm a 1 because 0's not an option.
I'm going to go with 3 for both. The reason being, because the hamstring could just get re-injured at any time and it will always be inconvenience, you don't know. I'm going to go with 3 for the Lions because, as Mike said, you could get another running back, but I think another running back would kind of be like what David Montgomery does. I don't think you could find somebody like Jahmyr Gibbs. He's special. He does a lot of things coming out the backfield and catching passes. They're rare. So for the Lions to just find another person like him would be difficult. So I'm going to go for a 3 for both. That hamstring, man, that's going to be the most watched hamstring in this city, David, for the entire season.
Let's move over to the west side of the country. Let's talk about Justin Herbert dealing with a plantar fasciitis in his right foot. He was in a walking boot. They expect him to return to practicing in 2 weeks. Level of concern for that.
3. It's a tough injury, and it usually takes a long, long time to go away. It takes a lot of rehab, a lot of work. It can come up and bite you. I'm just more concerned for Herbert year 1 of a totally new offense, a totally new mindset, acclimation.
Missing that time.
Yeah, so I would say a 3 for both team and player.
I would say if you're smart, this could end up being a 2, but I'm going to go with a 3 because this is an injury. Man, if you don't rest it properly and you can't rush this back. It's better for him to miss the first 3-4 games of the year because he could be there for the playoffs. But if you rush him back, David, he's done. It would be a bad thing. And you're going to learn a new offense, as Mike just said. 3, both teams. Unless you're stupid, and then you could push it up to a 4 or 5.
2 more players on the West Coast there. Puka Nacua, who is dealing with a knee injury. I think it's a bursa sac-ish injury or something in that knee. And then Christian McCaffrey with a calf injury.
I mean, they're both concerning. The calf is just a tricky muscle. It's a lot like Herbert dealing with the plantar fasciitis. Calf strains, I don't know the severity. They can just be back like that.
Yeah, it kind of it's like the hamstring.
Yeah.
And now I would put for McCaffrey, I would put for both teams, you're probably looking at about a 3 or a 4 because the problem is he suffered from this calf injury at the end of the season. So they held him out of practices going into the Super Bowl. Now, you would think that, okay, you had all of that rest. Apparently, it's done nothing, so it's not going anywhere. So that's why I would put that at a 4. And I don't think that, kind of like Jahmyr Gibbs, you can't just replace a Christian McCaffrey.
Well, then let's start there with players that are returning from injury from last year. Can they return to form? And let's start with, we talked about calf injuries with Christian McCaffrey. Let's start with Joe Burrow, who dealt with a calf last year, but was out for the rest of the season because of a wrist injury.
Yeah, he's fine. I don't have any concerns there. That'd be
Was
a
it
zero.
his throwing arm, the wrist?
Yeah, remember when he threw the ball and his hand exploded?
Okay.
He dropped to the ground like he got hit by a bomb. I think he's fine. There's 0, 1, whatever the lowest grade I can give is.
Yeah, I would say the same. He's had a year to heal up. I don't think it's going to be a lingering thing. So 1.
2 quarterbacks that are older coming off the same injury. That is Kirk Cousins, and that is Aaron Rodgers. Both Achilles.
3 for both. You're over the age of 30. In Rodgers' case, you're 40, and you blow an Achilles. I got to see it. I got to see what you look like. I got to see how much. And again, neither guy at this stage of their life is very mobile.
Right.
But I got to see it. It's a 3 for me. That's a major injury.
I'm going to go a 4 for both because with an Achilles injury, I've never had one, but talking to people who have, the biggest factor is the trust factor. Can you trust planting that foot and not thinking that it's going to pop? Or did you really overwork healing that Achilles and you end up popping the other Achilles because you overworked it? So I'm going to go a 4. Neither are mobile, as Mike said, but coming back from something like that, I don't think you just immediately come back from that. And there's going to be a lot of pressure on both quarterbacks to really solidify that job. The Jets, because, well, they're the Jets. And for Cousins, they drafted a quarterback high in the draft who's your replacement if you fail.
TJ Hockenson went down with a torn ACL and an MCL late in the year in Week 16 against the Lions. Could end up on the PUP to start the year. Can he return to form for the Vikings?
Can. Just probably not going to be until the middle of the year.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's middle of the road for me. It's 3.
Yeah, I would. He can, David. This really, I mean, especially now with the JJ news. If you're Minnesota, you got to have that come to Jesus meeting with yourself. How good do we expect to be? I know we paid Jefferson. He's on the team. We don't want him being disgruntled. But do we have the quarterback? Because if we don't have the quarterback, and you know, quietly, not in front of the media, guys, we're not going to win this division. We're not going to do a lot of stuff. Let's not rush him back. Let's really plan for next season. This is, again, if you're smart, it could be a 2.
And then let's close it out with this because this player had a gruesome injury. They have suspect quarterback play. They have a really great defense.
Chubb.
It is Nick Chubb. Surgically repaired meniscus, ACL, and MCL, who can also end up on the PUP and miss portion of the beginning of the season.
It's also the second catastrophic injury he had. Don't forget at Georgia where his leg got bent the wrong way. It's a 5 to me. He's already a back with a lot of miles. I love him. He's an awesome running back. But, man, I just got to see it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, dude, that's the second time your leg got put into a candy cane.
I got it at a 4, but I think the next time he gets injured, that's going to be the end of his career. But I think he can make it back, David. I don't know if he'll have the same speed, the same burst that he had before. But, yeah, I will go with a 4. And you know, for the Browns, yeah, this is probably going to be a 4 as well because he's another one of those backs that he's not easy to replace. You can find somebody to run the ball, but you're not going to get the same productivity.
And that is the injury in football today.